right after this session. Um, I won't be able to see our chat during the session, but I will come and give you some time at the end for any questions that you might have. So my name is Kimberly Usen. I'm the new curriculum consultant for ELAL. So last year was focusing on that K-3, this year 4-6. So kind of live in all of Division 1 and 2 now this year, and supporting with Camille as well, who's our core consultant. So just taking you back to our curriculum and really looking at those organizing ideas. And so noticing that from K-6, there's really a progression, right? And all of the organizing ideas really run through our K-6. And what's really neat about the ELAL curriculum is that there is that one-to-one correspondence. So to a learning outcome. So text, form, and structures, there's one learning outcome. Fluency, there's one learning outcome. You will notice that there are organizing ideas that tend to drop off as we go through the grades. So for example, in grade 3, phonological awareness drops off. In grade 5, we see fluency that drops off. And so there is that progression. So it's important for teachers to know that when you see a student that is struggling, that maybe you need to kind of go back into those organizing ideas and see what steps beforehand you can do to really help them. So just really focusing on those organizing ideas as a way to kind of get started. So we see this shift in practice from balanced literacy to comprehensive literacy, right? So where everything was balanced to now we're looking at this comprehensive icon. And so what you'll notice is that reading, oral language, and writing is kind of at that forefront. It's right there front and center. And so really the idea that we have to be more explicit with our instruction for reading, oral language, and writing. Have we gotten rid of all these wonderful things that we've been doing, like modeled reading, shared reading and writing groups? Absolutely not, right? Those are still part of the comprehensive literacy, but that shift is that now we're being more explicit in that reading, oral language, and writing. And really, we're still counting our learning experiences, background knowledge, we're doing our assessments, because at the end of the day, we want our students to be good communicators. And really the idea, and I'm sure teachers see that, yourselves see this, that when you are working on reading, you're working on writing. When you're working on writing, you're working on reading, right? All of these pieces in our literacy block are so intertwined. So we're not really just working on one piece, we're working on everything. And so you'll see that shift, right? Again, from balanced to comprehensive, but doesn't mean that we've gotten rid of every good thing that we've been doing in the classroom for our literacy, right? But just being more explicit in our instruction. So this leads me to the question that we've been asked quite a bit about level text. And so I like to use this analogy of a parking lot to a highway. And so when you're learning to drive, your parents probably took you to a parking lot so that you could learn the skills to be able to drive, right? Using the brake, the gas, going, taking turns, things like that. When you were feeling confident and you were building those skills, you were finally then gone onto onto Deerfoot, onto a highway so that you could apply those skills. And so we can kind of think of that like our decodable text is our parking lot, right? It's controlled. We're learning the skills in order to be successful. Once we've learned those skills, now we can go to our level text, right? Where we can really we have our skills, we can start applying, and we can move forward, right? That's where we're going to build that comprehension. And so we don't want teachers to think, oh, now I can't use level text. Absolutely you can, but you need to know, is your student ready? Have they got the skills before they can go to that level text? And so that's why decodable texts have become so important in developing those skills and helping to meet those students so that they become readers and then they can go to that level text, right? We're still building comprehension when we're doing decodable text because we'll be doing that through our oral storytelling. But just really wanted to highlight that level text is not a bad thing. These are great things that are in our schools, and we do encourage teachers to use them. So just a reminder about our all-in-one documents that were created for Div 1 and Div 2. And so it's really looking at four things, sorry. Your curriculum, your planning tools and templates, any resources, and then finally assessment. And so really it's your one-stop shop for click and whatever's been created. So the curriculum is directly linked there. All of our scope and sequence. So Lynn already talked about this in the first part about how we took the cusps and we kind of scoped them out by term. So we have a September to December, a January to March, and an April to June. We do have some samples from ARPDC as well for Div 2 in case teachers want other ways to do it, because you don't have to do it our way, but we just wanted to give examples. And then any of the resources we've purchased for all the specific grades are there, with any getting started videos, any resources created, templates, whatever is all going to be linked there. And then finally that assessment piece. So the SEMs have already been created for grades 1, 2, and 3 and K as well. And then we are just finishing up our 4 to 6, so they will be available for November for teachers. So again, lays on the NCIS site on the very top of every grade level. You can just click and you can open up these all-in-one documents. So when we turn now to kindergarten, so Heggerty was purchased, the physical book was purchased one per school. So that's at every school, they have just one of those books. And then every kindergarten teacher this year has access to the Heggerty Hub. And so this is really a phonemic awareness program working on things like onset rhyme, beginning sound, end sound, rhyming, all of those things. And so we've had some frequently asked questions about, well, this is too hard for my students. And so what I recommend is they're on the Heggerty Hub. You actually have access to all of the Heggerty curriculum. So if they're finding kindergarten is a little bit too tough, go to pre-kindergarten. And so we do have a correlation guide that was created by Heggerty to the Alberta curriculum to what you would actually do, what lessons you would do in the Heggerty Hub. And so we have it for every single one of the curriculums, including pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, early pre, all of those pieces. So do encourage, if they're finding it a little difficult for their kiddos, to go to that pre-kindergarten because it's available to you. As well, we've had questions about, well, my grade 1 teachers really would like to do it. Absolutely, you can. Again, there is a correlation guide for grade 1 as well in that document. So absolutely go for it. It is school-based decision on purchasing, but kindergarten does have that access to the hub. The next resource for grade 1 and grade 2 teachers was the Phonics Companion. So this is really 120 lessons that's working on that phonics and phonological awareness, organizing ideas of the curriculum. And so just wanted to let you know that there is a getting started video that I have created. All of the lessons are really put into 3 chunks. So the first one is introducing, so being very explicit with our instruction, using Alconin boxes, right? Using our mouth pictures, really making sure that they can hear all of the sounds so that they can produce that writing piece. The second one is applying. So they actually have activities from the Phonics Companion, templates, games that students can use to kind of apply what they've learned in that first part of introducing that GPC, that grapheme phoneme correspondence. Till finally, we have that consolidating piece where they're actually applying that skill in a decodable text. And so what we've created is this scope and sequence. It was created last year for grades 1 and grade 2. And so we took the Alberta curriculum and the lessons from the Phonics Companion and kind of scoped out the year for the teachers. So in October, this is what you'll be teaching. In November, this is what you will be teaching. And then as well, we have a decodable text guide. So when you click on that, if you're on lesson 20, it will tell you exactly what decodable text you can use. And so we've linked it to all the resources we purchased, like Reading A to Z, Scholastic Decodable book set, as well as UFly. So University of Florida has their own phonics guide that is created, but they have a lot of free resources. So we like free. So we have linked their practice passages on there as well. So you could have the teachers send it home if they want to practice, or they can do it as a whole group. And then finally, we have those high frequency words. So the 125 for grade 1 and grade 2, the words that they have to know by the end of the year. We've scoped it out based on whether it's being taught in your phonics companion lessons, or it's just something that they need to know. So you'll notice that some of them have red pieces. So those are those heart words. So it's either they haven't been taught that skill, but you're going to see that word. So we're going to teach that word, or it's something where it's irregular, and so we have to just memorize it by heart. If you want more information, we did create a little link to a heart word website where they have videos. You can actually show the students the videos. For example, said is on there, and so that they get to know what a heart word is. But all of that is on our NCIS site, a great way to start for the phonics companion. I'm very excited to announce. So we got a teacher group together, and we've created slides that will go with every single one of the 120 lessons. And so teachers can be like, I'm doing lesson 31. They pull up the slides and they go. And it really goes through being explicit, right? Doing it together, and then finally that piece where they're consolidating and looking at it in a decodable sentence. So those are being created. We should have them out by Christmas time for all the teachers. And that really is a great way to differentiate for Div 2 in case you're doing some small group as well. But we're very excited to have this out and ready to help teachers with their phonics instruction. The other resource that we have purchased is Reading A to Z. And so this is under the umbrella company Learning A to Z. They have many platforms. So you've probably heard of Raz Kids, Science A to Z. So they have all of these platforms. All of the platforms do need different logins. So if your school has purchased other platforms, do know that your teachers have to navigate between different logins. And so all grade 1 to 3 teachers have access to Reading A to Z. This email would have come from Learning A to Z at the beginning of the year in September. So do have them check if they haven't found it in their junk or clutter, or reach out to me. But they will have access. So it's a teacher platform to really support that comprehensive literacy. I think of it like Literacy Place online. And so I did create, there's a little correlation guide. Christine Knight and we created this guide where you look at a learning outcome and where you would navigate on that site to help you. Now, Reading A to Z is so much more than leveled text. They do have decodable books as well, but they also have things for your writing lessons, for your vocabulary work. They have graphic organizers, readers theater. There's just a wealth of resources on there. So I created a little video that goes with this guide to kind of help you get started with Reading A to Z. Just a friendly reminder, this is a no student zone. So this is different than Raz Kids. We're not inputting students. This is a teacher platform. So the teacher has their login to help them develop their lessons for their literacy block. So that leads me to some alternatives to Raz Kids. Again, this is a school-based decision if we are purchasing Raz Kids, but we do see that there's not a lot of connection to our new curriculum, and we are trying to get away from those levels and looking more at skill-based. And so Raz Kids is expensive as well, so we wanted to kind of highlight some of the free resources, and then some that we're looking at that are not free, but they will be great alternatives. So Lynn already talked about on Learn Alberta, we have Bookflix, the literacy readers for Nelson and Pearson. They have Reading A to Z where they can have books at many different levels or decodable books. We have our Scholastic set that is in the schools, and we also have online access to those books. We have the Tumble Book Library. New this year, we have Sora, which is under your bookmarks. When you go onto navigate on your laptop, you'll see under our bookmarks, there's Sora. Epic, which is only during school hours, but again, a great resource. Read Theory, more Div 2, but it's really working on that fluency piece. It kind of gives you a gauge of where your students are at. The ELAL department let us know about ReadWorks. And so it's another great resource for reading. And then finally, this is a resource that we've really, Camila and I have been chatting about, is Reading Eggs. And so it's very closely aligned to our curriculum and really helping students to become readers. And so really looking at that phonological awareness and phonics piece. We do have a meeting with them next week about district pricing because we are approving this resource, but just want to see if we can get some good district pricing. So do hold off because we're going to have that meeting next week, but there is a free trial. So you can go on Reading Eggs and you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And maybe it might be something that your school would like to dive into. Again, this is just some alternatives. It is a school-based decision. You know your school community and your students and teachers the best, but just wanted to kind of branch out and give some other alternatives. So we talked about our Scholastic School and Home. So we have the physical set, the fiction. We have collection 1, 2, and 3 at our schools, but we do have digital access until the end of December. And so what's awesome now is they've actually put some of their nonfiction titles on the digital platform. So teachers will have access to that for their kiddos. As well as some additional resources like articulation videos. They have a print, here you go, sound wall cards that they can put so they don't have to go to teacher pays teachers. They have a progression chart. They have phonics from A to Z, their book that on there. So we do highly recommend that teachers use this. After December, it will be a school-based decision if you'd like to continue. It is about $350 for the entire year for the whole school to have access. So do recommend having that conversation with teachers and seeing if they are using it or not. But use it now while we still have it until December at least. Just a reminder, the Sentence a Day and a Sentence a Day for grade 2 were purchased last year, one set of these books for each school. And I do have a getting started video with that Sentence a Day. Word study. So been very, very popular this year. Last year is the teacher manual and then the letter sorts, the letter name within word pattern and syllables and affixes was purchased last year. And so then this year we purchased the final sort, derivational relations. There is one before this letter name. There's one called Emergent. So it's an orange book and it comes before, but we didn't purchase that one. They do have other sort books as well for like ELL students, math. So those are available. One of the big questions we get is, okay, you've bought us this wonderful program, but we only have one set. Totally understand. So what we've recommend is that you can actually like pull out the perforated pages and then just have maybe a parent volunteer make photocopies, and then you can put it in a binder so that your teachers can just go and grab the sorts they need and off they go. There is a getting started video with this program. It was called Words Their Way last year. It's now called Word Study. They're the same thing. But I have been going out to tons of schools and doing after school PG. But if any of your schools are wanting to get started with this amazing resource for vocabulary, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to come out to your school. But as well, if you know that the binder system won't work, we do have links, and I'll be showing you this at the end of the presentation where you can purchase additional. I believe they are out of the books right now because it's so popular, but I'm sure they'll work on getting more copies available from Pearson. So now moving kind of to our 4 to 6 resources. So we do have the empowering writers. So there was the narrative guide, and then the expository guide was purchased for grades 4, 5, and 6. Grades 4 and 5 should be at your school already. Grade 6 got stuck at customs and got sent back, and hopefully it will be here soon and shortly. But we'll get that out as soon as we can. And so part of this purchase, we do have something called the literacy launch. And so it's taking the lessons, the like starting lessons from the narrative guide and the expository guide, and kind of giving you 13 lessons to get started with writing. And so you're looking at text form, you're looking at those summarizing frameworks, you're looking at that diamond and the pillar that are in both of these guides and how to kind of get started. And so I am going to be providing some PG on this. So please have your teachers check the LS Weekly so that they can kind of get started with this new resource. Some schools I know already have them. The other question too is, can I use the old guides? Absolutely. Not much like the architecture, the idea behind the program is still the same, just some of the pages have changed. The other resource that we purchased is a digital resource, Edwin. And so all the teachers from 4 to 6 have received their logins. If they haven't, please have them reach out to me. And it's probably just got caught in a clutter or junk folder and I can resend it. So really reminds me of collections, but online. So they have these curated units with lessons that you would do, really starting with a big idea or question like, what makes a good story, for example. It's a great way for teachers who maybe are new to teaching that don't have that repertoire of lessons, or for veteran teachers, kind of gives you some different ideas that you could do, and you can kind of go forward. Like I really like some of the oral language lessons that they have. You do create a dashboard, and so you actually input all of your students on. And then you'll be able to see their progress. So they do have assessment on there. And so it's kind of like Mathia in the green, they're doing well, and red, they're not doing so well. There are 3 things that we've asked Edwin to really work on. So my big key message behind this resource is we want the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so we want that feedback because we need to know, is this a resource that we want to purchase for longer than this year or not? And so 3 things we're asking is for, one is assessment. And so right now it is just self-checks or an either or. So a 50% chance of getting the answer correct. So we've really asked them to look at building more meaningful assessment and rubrics. And so we're actually going to have teacher groups working on that as well, to help them with that process. The second thing is differentiation. So when you go on and there's like a text, like what makes a good story, and there's like a text that the students have to read, it is in grade 5, it's at a grade 5 level. And so obviously not all our students are at grade 5 level. And so we have asked them to really take that text and make it at multiple levels so all students can be working on that platform and be successful. The third thing is the curriculum. So you'll see when they go into their curated collections, they have a browse by curriculum page. And so right now, all of their pieces are linked to the learning outcome and organizing idea. So we've asked them to really look at, okay, but what skills and procedures is this actually targeting? And so they are creating a document to outline exactly that for each of the lessons, and those will be available in November and will be right on their Edwin platform. One of the things that I do ask teachers, I think is a great way to start, is they have an escape from Edwin room little assignment. So these can actually be pushed out, the assignments, to their Google Classroom. And so this one actually gets students started with the program so that they know, like, oh, I know how to highlight, or I know how to press play. I know all the features of Edwin. And it's also a great way for teachers to kind of get to know the program because they can watch them while they do this escape room. And so highly recommend them starting with that. So key message here is that this is in development and we really want that feedback from teachers. We understand that we have this only for a year, but we would love if teachers kind of dip their toes in it so that they can give us that feedback, and then we know if it's something we want to invest in further or if, we'll go to something else. So if you need any of our resources, want to know where to purchase more, for example, we do have a document on our NCIS site that highlights all the resources that were purchased from last year and this year, and then the websites you would go to if you want to purchase more. So for example, if you wanted to get more of the word study, you would go follow down there and find there and then go for Pearson. Again, there are professional growth opportunities that we are going to be offering, but on our NCIS site, there are always some how-to videos for teachers. So for K-3, the sentence a day, a word study, reading A to Z, phonics companion, and Haggerty all have our recordings up there. And then for 4 to 6 ELAL, we have our word study. On October 6th, we had Edwin who did a getting started video. And so that's linked there. And then the literacy launch, which is the empowering writers, they also did a recording on October 6th. So that recording is up there for teachers at any time or for yourself as well. So if you do have any questions from K to 6 ELAL, I work really closely with Camille, but feel free to contact me about any of those questions. So I am going to unshare and stop my recording. And then we can get any questions that you have.